Okay, guys, we are live. So for those listening at home, welcome to the Dungeon Musings YouTube channel. My name is Kevin Madison, and I'll be your friendly referee, I guess, today for Traveler, because today we are carrying on with their ongoing campaign, playing Mongoose Publishing's Outstanding Traveler 2nd edition. Oop. This is the 2022 update. And we are playing through one of their modules, the Reach Adventure number 5, the Borderland Run. So if you intend on playing the Borderland Run at some point in future, this session will contain spoilers for that adventure, so proceed with caution. Assuming you don't care about the spoilers, or if you've already played it, well then let me introduce you to the stalwart crew of the Rift Wanderer. I'll go the order I've got you guys on the screen here. Why don't you tell us who you are and who you're playing today. First up, we've got James.
Hi, I'm James. I'm playing Captain Garney, a man without credentials, who's lying on his bed in his bunk on the ship.
Yes, I think you were doing some impressive training. Oh, that's right. Shoot, because Graham's not here. I think we had concluded all the trading stuff that we needed to get done, but we'll talk about that in a moment. Next up is David.
Hi everyone, I'm David. I'm playing Dr. Elias Abdel, a physician and geneticist who has traded the lab for the petri dish of the universe.
Very nice. And last, but certainly not least, is Jeffrey.
Hey everybody, I'm Jeff, and I'm playing Alonzo Santoro, a journalist turned adventurer.
Nice. All right, so then I think it was only James who was actually able to make it last time. So what happened last time, guys?
Yeah, well, we flew to the second planet, and there's my notes. Do I have it in there? Oh, it's one note gone.
Oh, you know what? If you had made notes last time, we had to use a different Roll20 game last time because of there's that issue with that update they pushed through, and the cameras weren't working. Let me see here. Here we go.
Oh, it's so long ago. I've forgotten the bloody thing.
Hey. If I took notes from last time, I have misplaced them.
Hernan's World?
Yes,
yeah,
Hernan's Claim.
Hernan's Claim.
Yeah.
Hernan's Claim, yep.
That's where you guys were.
We had negotiated the onward cargo, if I remember correctly.
Yes, so this is what you found on Hernan's Claim. The trip itself was uneventful, and this is what you found on Hernan's Claim. And let me just resize this sucker. Oop, and we'll go to there. Yeah, there we go. These, Hernan's Claim, as a reminder, was settled by as a typical outsystem rock ball in many ways. It's large, but it has little atmospheric gas. It was originally settled by a mining corporation that built a single large town with a basic starport plus several outlying settlements over the promising deposits. These are now abandoned, and the entire population lives in the Star Town. The corporation went out of business many years ago, bequeathing its assets and de facto ownership of a not very valuable planet to its shareholders. Today, it is a semi-independent inhabited world, although it is usually considered a colony administered by its shareholders. Some of these live on planet, but most are located on Tech World or one of the other major worlds in the cluster. Hernan's Claim still has a small mining operation and some TL-11 manufacturing equipment, which allows it to contribute to the overall economy of the Inuran star system. Enough profit is made to allow goods and foodstuffs to be important, and thus standards of living are fairly high. The general population is content and for the most part prefers to be left alone. There are now some outlying communities as well spread across the planet, but for the most part, what you see is the most important part of Hernan's Claim. You guys had arrived on planet as well. I'm making use of the same starport. Do you remember what happened, James, when you guys, or your crew members, went looking around?
Like, I seem to remember they met up with a Varga supervisor of some kind and was trying to negotiate to...
That was back on Gibraltar Station, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was a different one. I remember her, the one on Gibraltar, but then no, clearly.
Then let me show you. Let's see. We had a handout here and see if this rings a bell. Oop, not here. Okay. Does that ring a bell?
Yes, and that's where I... the different illustration of an Aslan.
Yes.
Confused me.
We were talking about being...
That looked a bit more like a Varga to me, but hey, there's a different edition of a different artist. Yep, so they were trying to find out from her the location of the Ergunuel.
Yeah, I think what had happened. Let me fill in. They actually haven't spoken to her. They noticed when they were off the ship. This was Anchor and oh boy,
Dane.
And Dane. Thank you. Anchor and Dane were off ship and kind of looking around and trying to figure out how you would go about finding this guy. Everything was. It was not as welcoming of visitors as the way Gibraltar Station was. Neither was the place as hectic as what Gibraltar Station was. You may remember there was constantly ships kind of coming and going from Gibraltar Station. And that is not the case at Hernan's Claim. The ship, the place itself, the settlement here, Hernan's Claim, has about 30,000 people, so it's still a good-sized, little outpost. But the folks don't seem to be necessarily extremely... They're not unfriendly, but they're not necessarily opening doors for, for strangers, the way that, like, some vacation planets might, or something like that. What the guys did is they headed to the place, to basically the part of the starport where you would register for taking on passengers. And they indicated that they were going to, they were open. First, they asked if there was anyone, I can't remember if they asked if it was an Aslan or if it was, they were just in general asking if there was anyone looking to take on. They wanted to be picky choosy about who they took. They were not able to get that information, and there didn't seem to be anyone waiting, but they did put down that they were waiting for, or that they were willing to take on people, and left a way of contacting the ship to be able to do a pre-interview, a pre-screening kind of thing. What they noticed is while they were doing that, there was a young Aslan girl who seemed to be eavesdropping on what they were saying, and had a little computer screen open, and she hopped off and headed off. And I can't remember if it was Anchor or Dane, but one of them managed to follow through to what kind of what tram she took to get elsewhere in Hernan's Claim. Hernan's Claim has, I think it's a quarter of the population is Aslan, so like they're not unusual here. Oh, sorry, not nearly that much. There's about a tenth of the population is Aslan, so they're not by any means like the dominant, the dominant species here, but they certainly make up a good enough size of the population that it would be difficult to pick out like the one Aslan you're looking for. With that, they got back, and I believe what we ended on was a message from the... Oh, yeah. Graham's got family stuff. Oh, he just got back from baby shower. Yeah, I can see that being exhausting. So, Graham, we hope you had a great time at the baby shower, and congrats on the pending grandfatherhood. I think I can hear a further gray hair coming in, having said that for him. Now, what? Let's see here. What we've assumed. So Captain Ganny did run into a spot of trouble when he was coming out. What was that, Captain?
Coming out of the ship?
No, when you were coming out, when you were leaving from Gibraltar Station to come out to Herndon's Claim.
Oh yeah, but that was when I lost got the information. I didn't have my IDs, so then we were trying to figure out I could get something temporary off the task, but I was going to be struggling in the short term on this location. So
yeah. So Captain Ganny,
we were going to see if I could bribe my way onto the planet, but decided it probably wasn't worth the harassment on it.
Yeah. So, then, I'm trying to think. I can't recall anything. Oh, the last thing that did happen was that you, there was someone who contacted you at the end of the session. Do you remember what that was?
I'm afraid not.
Okay. So you were contacted by someone who was using the name Erniel. And it was simply a location, Herndon Robotics and Electronics, and a time, noon tomorrow.
Oh.
Ernin Robotics and what? Claim?
Herndon Robotics and Electronics.
Oh, electronics.
Yeah, here's...
And
Herndon's Claim is the same thing, and it's Herndon's...
Erniel?
Erniel, that was the...
Erniel? Is that the person we're trying to pick up?
That was the name...
The nom de plume.
Yeah, Ergnoil, which is Vargar word for long and dreary road.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
For those listening at home, it's been a month since we played, so we're just getting...
And I missed like two sessions before that.
Yes, it's 2 months for... Alonzo has been in a writing spree the last couple of months. Okay. Let's see here. Robotics and Electronics. All right. So let's talk about what Dr. Ilias and Alonzo have been up to in this time. Is there anything that you guys think that you would have been doing or, trying to address in the interim, either on the trip out here, which was, I think, 6 days, or is it 6 days? Let's see here. It's 136 hours. That's six days?
Well, just over 5, yeah.
Okay. So, what? Is there anything that you guys think you would have been doing in that time, or you want to jump in and start talking about what the plans are for this message? Captain Ganny. Oh, sorry, Captain Ganny is probably the one who got the message, so he can share that with you guys and plan as he sees fit. Go ahead, guys.
So, 12 noon.
Go ahead, David.
I think that Elias would have been interested because he was told, I think, at the opera or about the security search that they're looking for someone specific, which he assumes is Ergonoil. So he would have been going through, if that's possible, like downloading the latest newspaper copies and just seeing what like is in the news on Gibraltar, and maybe further afield if they have, like what's the, is it like, famed pirate, terrorist, or if it's weirdly conspicuously not in the news, because obviously when the other ship we helped got boarded, they were apparently looking for someone very specific. So I think it'd just be interesting to see if the wider news, if anything is known about it, or if they're trying to keep it hush-hush, or if there's anything in there that might shed some light on our potential passenger.
Okay. How about you, Alonzo?
Alonzo has finished his first draft of his novel, his new thriller, he's calling it, called The Pirate's Wife. He sort of combined the adventure that happened with the pirates, with the kidnapping that happened, and the girl that he met there that turned out to be pretty evil, but he thought she made a great character. I think her name was like Whitney or something.
That might.
No.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. No.
Yep.
Yeah, Whitney. So he kind of like combined it, and she became involved with the pirates. She was the pirate's wife, and so he's got the first draft of the novel. He's pretty excited about it. He's probably going to be looking to try and sell it, or publish it. Yeah.
Okay.
But obviously, he's caught up in this mission now.
So why don't let's see, Dr. Ilias. Let me take a look at the skills here. Oh, I didn't grab my referee screen. Come on. I'll grab that on my break. Although I don't think it has the skill list on it. Let's see. I should probably grab is the actual rulebook, not one of the downsides of the limited editions. They all look the fucking same at a casual glance. Looking through the book, I'm like, why is this all about spaceships like that? Here we go. All right. So I think. Let's roll for luck as well. Does everyone give us a D6 roll?
Oh, right.
Non-exploding.
Yeah. Oops.
Yay!
There you go. 11. All right. So 11 luck for the session. And investigate, of course. I think, would you give us an investigate and intelligence check there, Dr. Ilias? Look at that. All right. So what I think you find from perusing the news from Gibraltar is that it doesn't seem like if there is an effort to try and clamp things down as far as the government is concerned, it's either remarkably unsuccessful or they're just not trying at all, because there's a fair bit of there's a fair bit of chatter. I'm picturing that it's not. It's something akin to today's sort of news things where there's places for commentary, almost like building in the letters to the editor as comment section. And yeah, it seems like things are getting kind of fucking crazy over there. People are bitching about how long it takes to get in and get out with, or get to leave with it. There's run-ins between. It seems like there was a shootout between two rent investigators, or two groups of rent investigators at some point. Neither of which were secured, which some conspiracy theorists suggest that means that they've got deep connections, because surely they had cameras on them. Like, why would they not have camera, video surveillance of these people? But it seems like a lot of what you experienced on your last days on Gibraltar Station, the unusual elevated security, the people being involved in poking their noses into other people's business, it seems like the general populace on Gibraltar Station has kind of had enough of that. But in the most recent update, it continues. So I think with a roll that good, one of the conclusions you can reasonably draw is that the fact that it has carried on there and they've continued investigating suggests that they may not know that you guys have left. Like, if you are the sole focus of the investigation, and if the people looking into this know that you are the only ship that is likely to carry these things, that probably wouldn't carry on. So, but do you have any questions? Any other things you would have specifically looked into? That's a good enough role. You could probably poke for some extra info.
Yeah, but there's no mention of any sort of specifics of this Aslan is wanted for high crimes against. They're just general alertness, and they're looking for someone, but there's not like new wanted posters.
Yeah, what I think you can see though is that there's a little bit, and this is more from either the armchair military experts or from folks serving. It's not like a pervading and dominant part of what's being said in the documents or whatnot, but there's definitely a bit of a there are people who are more openly talking about war with the Hyrate, which, I mean, that's crazy talk to think that the Hyrate would go to war with anyone or with the Third Imperium, but there is some talk about that, and general anti, Aslan sentiment that comes with that.
The Third Imperium is like the society that we're a part of?
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It borders on the Third Imperium is the kind of human, led empire that is a legacy of the humans who come from Earth and the humans who were transplanted to another planet called what's the Villani homeworld called? Is it Villan or?
Oh, I'm not actually sure. Yeah,
for example, the members of our party who were ex-military, that's the military they would have been a part of?
Absolutely, yeah.
Vland.
What is it?
Vland.
Vlan, okay. Yeah, in the setting, there's a conceit that there was an ancient species that transplanted certain things from Earth. The Villani are humans who were descended from humans who were transplanted over there. They're pretty much the same as anyone else. There's also the Zodani, which are humans that were transplanted and also granted like crazy psychic powers. The Vargur were dogs, or canines at least, that were taken and uplifted and then placed in different sectors. There's a couple other minor human subspecies that, or like kind of quasi subspecies that exist in different parts of the universe, but the culture that Captain Gani grew up around and the culture that, say, Alonso is most interested in, the 20th century Earth stuff, completely different societies that grew up because of the being transplanted back when I believe this is like Stone Age when the transplants took place.
Okay, yeah.
And it's called the Third Imperium just out of interest because the First Imperium was the Villani, and they expanded out and they came across the humans from Sol, the Soleimani, from Earth. And they got in a war, and against all expectations, the humans actually won the war. And they forged the Second Imperium. That eventually degenerated, and I can't remember what the precipitating event was, but then it led to the resurgence of the Third Imperium, which is the one you guys have been living in.
Okay, yeah.
There's endless civil wars going on of admirals and etc. trying to take over the empire. So
that was the interregnum. Yeah. And so that's where like sort of where the different species or the different human things come from. The
Aslan are a true alien race, right?
The Aslan are a true alien race. Yeah, that's part of the reason why the art on them is so inconsistent sometimes, because they describe them as being like lion people sometimes, but they also at other times they describe them as being like vaguely lion-like but quite alien. So you've got pictures that look like the lion-headed guys from the Magic the Gathering game, and you have other ones where it's like this lady where like, yeah, I guess I could see lion in there, but I could also see dog, I could also see house cat, I guess.
Yeah,
they're not clearly from Earth the way that Amalde or the not Amalde, that the Vargur are. So
right.
So yeah, that's the long and the short of that. And the region of space, just as a reminder, the Borderland sector or the Trojan Reach that you're in, that is a kind of no man's land. There was another empire, a human empire called the Sandalan Empire, that was, I think, 1,200 years ago, maybe 800 years ago. I don't remember offhand right now, but that raised up. It was a very, very high-tech thing, but it was bombed to shit by I think that one was overthrown by the populace, and then the Aslan bombed the remnants of it and the legacy, which is why Drinax, that you'll find a incredibly high-tech flying city there, but the planet itself has been pretty much bombed to glass. That would be the Aslan you have to thank for that. So, anyway, that is the history lesson. Did you have a question about the status or the status of the different parties or something, Jeff? Or
no, I just wanted to make sure I understood the information you were giving us in context to the world.
Okay. Dr. Elias, anything else that you would have been looking into when reviewing those different news articles and such?
No, I think that those would have been the main things of interest he was looking for. Just because if this person is like publicly wanted and there's a name and a photo everywhere, will make it more difficult to have him as a passenger. Whereas if it's more like general security, but no one is openly talking about who they're after, then it might be a little bit easier if like everyday people we meet don't instantly go, OMG, that's, Space Butcher, such and such, or anything like that. So that'll make it easier.
Sorry, what was your name? It's Space Butcher. It's a family name. Don't take anything by it. I'm married, but I wanted it. To change the name would have been a big hassle. So yeah, and I'm Edward Space Butcher. So, what you do find, I think, is that is a really good role. It's not part of any article, but somebody mentions in one of the kind of comment section portion about being asked about an Aslan. You also, on a more pleasant note, well, I mean, I'll leave it to you to decide if it's pleasant or not. You have a standing invitation to the opera from the security chief's wife, again.
Wonderful. Well, if we ever come back to Gibraltar Station.
Okay. Then, is there anything else that you would want to be specifically looking for as you're reviewing that stuff?
No, I think that's all for me.
Okay. Then, both of you have been kind of finishing up what you're doing in the in your quarters when Captain Gani sends in. I'll bring us all over to the. Oh no, actually, I don't need to grab everyone. Bring us over to the ship. There you go. So, Captain Gani, you get this message later in the day. What happens next? Like, you just finished up your trading transaction. You got the ship. I believe you got the ship full to the rafters with trade going to Tech World next.
Yep, exactly. So then, otherwise, I guess we need to get ready for this meeting at noon.
Well, you needed to tell the other characters about that too.
Oh well.
Yeah.
I will tell them and say, we need to meet these. We've got a message to meet someone at Hernan Robotics.
Why don't we roleplay that
midday?
Out?
Sorry?
Why don't we roleplay that out?
Yeah.
Tell us one.
Yeah.
Have you told us about your passport issue? No.
Let's assume yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So let's say you guys meet back up in the common area. In here.
Julius is making tea, taking a break from his research. Alonso, where have you been? I've not seen you in days. How goes the writing?
Excellent. I have completed the first draft. I'll have a copy of it for you to check out.
Oh, yes, I'd be honored.
I'd love some feedback. Just general stuff. Don't worry too much about any editing.
I have reviewed a few papers in my time. I'm sure I can provide something useful.
Excellent. I appreciate it.
And maybe Captain Gani comes in from the bridge at this point.
Yeah. Well, that's got some action. I got a message. So someone is trying to meet us. And maybe that'll be the lead we need. Maybe that's what's behind with tracking down our Aslan friend, our Aslan cargo.
Excellent. Where are we to meet?
It was in the center, right?
Yeah, Hernan Robotics is
Hernan Robotics and Electronics.
Yeah, the place is not terribly big. If you search on kind of the like local, internet, then what you find is that it is it's a kind of like, it's a bit of a hallmark or back to the more like frontier service providers. So this isn't like a part of a chain like with GDCO or with what's the one that the corporation that controls PRQ, Argona. GDCO, more memorable than PRQ. What this is it's almost like a robot version of like a cobbler, right? Like they've got some supplies in there. They have it looks like they've got robots for sale in there, as well as providing full servicing of robots. So I guess a garage might be a better comparison. When I thought cobbler, only because that that job really kind of doesn't exist outside of like artisan kind of or artisan, operations on Etsy. So I mean, I don't think you guys have a robot on board. You have your, hideous mascot, but no robot.
Are you planning on joining us on planet, Captain?
Well, sadly not, as you know. Slight lack of documentation.
Yeah, I had a question about that, Captain, from a logistics point of view. And then from a lot of character study. This ID you've lost, is that the one that also has the code to the ship and to the bank accounts and everything on it? Like, do we have to change all of our codes?
He's got the same password for the bank account, for the ship.
It's like an ID thing where it sort of opens the ship and stuff, or is it just like a piece of paper?
Goes to the ship's locker, 99999. Like, you gotta be fucking kidding me, Captain.
But yeah, how much of a security risk is this loss of? Or have you just misplaced it on the ship?
What we can assume is that the thing that is lost is more a connection with him. It would be one of the ways of proving his identity, not necessarily of accessing any other sort of thing. Okay, it definitely could be used to gain access, in all likelihood, but not on its own. So it might facilitate a way of accessing stuff. It's never good to lose your ID, but he has promptly reported it and kind of had that canceled and has a new one that will be waiting for him on Tech World. There is no TAS facilities on on Hernan's claim, but at Tech World there will be one.
So that's what we're having to wait for. So that's why I'm not coming off.
Okay. You don't think it's worth the risk of trying to sneak on planet or anything?
To meet some robotics people? Not really.
Well, okay. I'm assuming it's going to lead to our contact, though. I only ask because I've, been known to get in a little bit of trouble unsupervised.
I'll come with you, Alonso. I'm sure we can handle this.
Oh, great. Thank you, Doctor.
So, what is the plan?
What time of the day is it now?
Evening. It'll be
so it's tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we should find out what we can about this electronics place before we head down there.
Yeah, apart from it's a modest storefront on one of the concourses on the in the starport, or the community that's been built out from the starport. It's not the kind of place that is that services the starships directly. It seems like it's more likely something that services the locals. But there's very little. Like, this isn't a starport that's really built to you show up and you go to kind of the like visitors area and buy stuff, it's very bare bones. The stuff you would need to be able to operate the starport is accessible from here, and then there is also part of the station or the colony where the locals get all their stuff. So, what? Yeah.
Do we think we need a cover for going there, or like, do we have to place an online order now and pick that up tomorrow at noon, and then while we're there we also happen to bump into someone, or is it how above board or below board do we want to approach this?
Well, if they've sent us a message, I suggest we just go. They're being fairly direct, I guess.
Yeah, but I'm more concerned about others that might have a vested interest in this potential passenger of ours.
That's a fair point.
There were a lot of efforts on Gibraltar Station to track them down. And I don't know how many know that they've been exiled to here, but we could maybe have to assume that we're not the only ones that might be party to this information.
So maybe we should try and go in quietly. Remain unnoticed as we can.
Well, I think it's presumably they know our ship's arrived, right?
Well, you did check in with the place to take on passengers, so they would certainly be aware that that your ship is here, because you guys registered it as a possible passage off planet. I didn't. Right. If I didn't make it clear, the Hernan Robotics and Electronics is run by an Aslan family.
Yeah, so just, as unnoticed as we can traveling there would be good.
Just maybe keep an eye out for anyone following us.
Anyone following us, yeah. Seems a good strategy. Well, I shall get you that copy of the book, and I need a good night's sleep before this job tomorrow.
So there is also, you can see on the website, I'm not sure if this is, or whatever the space equivalent of it is, there are two main kind of things that are available. I intended to scan them in, but I forgot to do that. That is one kind of robot available. It is a steward shipboard robot. It is intended to assist in simple tasks such as keeping passengers fed and passageways clean. It's been criticized for trying to do too much on a single platform, creating a robot inferior to all tasks, to a specialized device. However, the steward has the advantage of versatility, enabling a crew to obtain a wide range of basic capabilities with a single purchase. Although it can do more than bring whoever's on the bridge a sandwich and a cup of coffee, this at least frees someone for more important tasks. Are you feeling replaced already by a robot, Alonso? Or
yeah, but in a good way. In a good way.
The other is a Type C cargo loader, which looks like that. The cargo loader is used in numerous starports and carried by commercial starships. It's not uncommon to encounter a fleet of these robots down at Heel Starport, where they've been kept working by borrowing systems from other units. This robot runs on heavy-duty tracks optimized for smooth surfaces, but do have some rough ground capabilities. This enables loading and unloading under frontier conditions away from starport, which makes these robots popular with crews trading around backwaters. The body of the robot is a blocky, low flatbed with a pair of forklift-type probes on a movable platform. These slide under a container and lift, then slide back along the bed to deposit the cargo on the main carrying surface. A pair of light manipulator arms are used for smaller items. Yeah, so that's the other thing that's available. The steward is 1/10 of the price of the cargo loader, though. So, anyway. What are you guys planning on doing next?
As Alonso suggested, have a nice quiet evening, get a good night's sleep, and then be ready for what the morning and especially the noon brings.
Yeah, I think that's probably all the kind of prep we need to do as far as figuring out what's going on there.
Mm-hmm. There is likely as well, too, Captain, you probably aren't the first person to lose your passport. There is an option beyond bribing your way on, because this is a high security world. Basically, if you agree to like posting a bond and carrying a transmitter on you, then you would be able to have access to the facility.
Mm.
And a transmitter, I think it weighs only about 20 kilograms, so it should be relatively easy to move around. James, did you hear what we said?
Yeah.
No, I mean...
It's your call,
move
Cap.
around. No, I mean, if I'll just...
Did you hear what we said?
Yeah, no. If you could repeat, sorry.
Yeah, sure. So what we said is that there is another way around this, and that is that you can, because you're not the first person to lost their ID. You can post a bond and have a transmitter that you have, like almost like a traveler equivalent of like the ankle bracelet.
Ankle bracelet.
Yeah. So that you've posted the bond, you've got the way of them tracking you while you're on planet.
Okay, let's go with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
If we should. Well, we've got the money.
Yeah, I think
We've got a million odds, so we should be.
And Dane is your accountant, and I think if he, he's certainly free to raise his objection if he doesn't want. I'm not hearing any objections.
Yeah, I'm pretty. Well, they've also got the ship in the tethered down, so that's a few $100 million. So.
Yeah. Okay. So that is, they're able to make those arrangements, and so you'll have an ankle monitor on for the duration of your stay. Probably a wrist monitor, I think, rather than ankle, only because the wrist is something easier to put clothes on and off around, whereas the ankle, like putting it on with a boot or something like that, I imagine it would be difficult. Anyway, so then, is there anything you wish to do this evening, or any way that you wish to contact the Hernan Robotics and Electronics before you go, or are you just going to show up at noon and see what is waiting?
Dr. Ilias just had a question pop into his mind. We know that the Aslan was removed from Gibraltar, getting into some sort of trouble, and put in, according to their laws, put on the next ship out.
Yeah.
Do we know? Did they just get put on the ship and then they don't send like a manifest with them saying, this, like local law enforcement on Hernan's claim would not have waited for them on the other end or taken over or anything? They're just like, off you go, we wash our hands of you, and then
precisely
wherever they land doesn't know they've been banned from Gibraltar, so we don't have to worry about local law enforcement.
No, Hernan's claim, it was honestly a happy coincidence for you guys that it happened to be that place. It could have easily been Spurl or Argona or Tech World or any of the other places that were within 1 or 2 jumps of here. The fact that it happened to be in system was just a lucky coincidence, and it may also be that there's someone who regularly deals with that. Hernan's claim is a big enough community where, like, if you drop someone off who's got no money, then they're not going to just die. They may be able to, scramble together, and there's enough industry here so they could, with difficulty, scramble together enough money to get off planet once again, but that's not really a concern for Gibraltar Station. Okay. Once you get your office, like, fuck it, whoever is willing to take you, that's the one that's going first. So, then...
do we want to send a reply or just show up randomly? Any preference, Captain?
Well, we've got a time and a place, so I don't think we need
Seems
to
good
say
enough
much
for me.
more.
Okay, the law level here we said was such I think you can bring weaponry with you if you choose to.
No, this was quite high lore, I thought.
It
Wasn't
was.
it?
Oh, maybe I'm confusing it with. Oh, here we go. Okay, hold on.
Well, now am I getting confused?
No, I think you're right.
I thought this was high. I thought this one was a high lore one.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, here we go. And it's been long enough that I whatever efforts I made to try and memorize the order for the word codes, gone now. So law level is second from last. All right. Yep. All weapons banned. Is that right? Hold on.
Yeah, that's what I seem to remember from when we arrived.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Oh, yeah.
8.
We'll be relying on our wits.
Yep, that's right. 9.
And there are many interpersonal skills.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey,
is
you're
that
the
why we
face.
were selected for this job?
You're the face. We're relying on you.
All right. So
Me,
then,
I've got a spanner.
unless there's anything else we can that you wish to do in the morning, or if you wish to try and smuggle anything out from the ship, then we can head to the surface. So, tell me how you guys plan. It is only going to take you maybe 15, 20 minutes in order to get there, just from walking and then taking the local tram. Curiously, it's actually the same tram that Dane had identified. That's going to take you in the direction of the Hernan Robotics and Electronics.
Excellent. Let's just go straight. Let's just head straight there. No messing around, I think.
Let me make one mysterious roll here. Let me make a fake concerned face. Oh boy. And then, so as you guys approach, the tram lets you off on sort of the concourse where this is located, and you find that you seem to be in kind of the, if not the only, then one of the kind of commercial districts on Hernan's Claim. There's a great big window, or port, whatever you call it, porthole window. I guess it's a window of this size, clearly made of some kind of hardened material that shows you the the bright and the desolate landscape on the outside. There still are some strange alien, to call them birds, maybe that's right, only because they have wings and whatnot, but obviously these are clearly alien creatures if they're able to survive in this environment, kind of drifting on the thermals that run through the cavern here, and keeping themselves aloft on the very, very thin atmosphere. You look over a number of different facilities or different vendors until you come to Hernan's Robotics and Electronics, and it's the kind of place that has there are like holographic kind of windows up that display in the front where there are some robots that are set up, but this is something more akin to like a mom and pop antique shop type thing where random stuff is sort of put in the window as opposed to like a properly stocked storefront. And you can see that there is the both what is Galanglic? That's the lingua franca in Traveler. Is that right?
I think so, yes.
Yes.
There is the title in Galanglic, and then there's also underneath there is something in the Aslan script. So it clearly is appealing to both, and you guys can see through the window there are some Aslan working inside there as well. Anything you wish to do as you're approaching this place, you can, in your mind, picture something very similar to the illustration we're looking at right now. Let me make sure I got you on the right screen here, so I know what we're looking at. Yeah, okay, good. You're like, wait, we're in the middle of a canyon? Madison! Yeah, and what you can see there is, it's reasonably busy at this time of day. There's people kind of coming and going, you know. No one seems to be paying particular attention to you, but this is by no means like holiday shopping kind of time. This is like, you know, a couple of hours, like a mall, a couple of hours before dinner time kind of stuff, you know. So
Right.
there are people here, but it's not packed, but it's also not a ghost town. Tell us how you plan on approaching this. You all three just walk in, or do you want to reconnoiter the place first?
I think that Elias will suggest if one of us, or maybe him, hangs back a bit and keeps an eye out, because he had a bad experience with those rent investigators on Gibraltar Station. He'll try and keep an eye out for anyone who looks that sort of type, who's maybe trying to blend into the crowd a bit too hard, or sort of paying too much attention to new arrivals.
That's a good idea.
Is there that much traffic? Is there enough traffic for us not to be too obvious?
Yeah.
Or are we everyone points at us as we come off?
No, I mean there are certainly, this isn't like an Aslan neighborhood. This is a mixed neighborhood. There are, you know, there are a couple of Arger you probably see on here, mostly human, but there are also a couple of, you know, Aslan beyond the people in the shop. It's not going to be like, it's not so busy that you can just easily hide yourself in a crowd, but it's also not like you won't be the only person sitting on a bench looking at something. So if you choose to try and be inconspicuous, that will likely involve is it stealth or is it recon? I can't remember in this game. Recon is, I know, the catch-all for like perceiving and such.
There's stealth.
There is stealth. Okay, there we go. So stealth. Yeah, as well. You're neither going to get a benefit from a big crowd or a penalty from it being empty, is, I guess, maybe one way of thinking of it.
I don't think we have to necessarily be super stealthy. I think, yeah, Dr. Elias will just keep an eye out for anyone looking suspicious, but maybe he's just, you know, his nerves are a bit fraught from his experience on Gibraltar Station, but other than that, he's hopeful at this time things will
Plus, we suck at it.
Remember, you guys all have earbuds and comm units as well.
Yeah.
Right.
So how do you guys want to do this?
I think we'll head in. Me and the captain will head in, and the doctor will hang back and sort of watch for suspicious activity.
Okay.
Yep.
Doctor, what is? Why don't you give us a? I'm not going to ask for it. Why don't you give us a stealth check, please? Are you trained in that, or?
No.
Okay, so then I think it's -3, isn't it?
And 3, yes. Since,
so I think 3 levels in Jack of all trades is what gives you a chance to, -3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so just dexterity.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
-3.
Okay, it's only an 8 is an average success. Would you like to spend point of luck to bump that up to an 8?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no objections from my crewmates.
Okay, then we see. Well, guess what? Where do you picture?
Sorry. Was that meant to be a dex -3? Was it meant to be a -3 on it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it says +/-3.
Oh yeah, my bad, silly. Yep.
Roll 20 is still struggling to learn English, so so I'm going to plus the -3. All right. Yeah. So then you, where do you think you place yourself to be inconspicuous?
Just cruising some of the other shop windows.
Okay.
So just keeping in, so that I can keep an eye on the entrance, and in case anyone follows them in.
Sure. And why don't you give us a recon check as well? Are you trained in that?
I am.
Nice.
Hanging around with the military types.
Yeah. That XP's got to be spent on something. Oh, and I think we mentioned this maybe with the last time we played too, but you can ignore, for the purpose of playing the in the ongoing game, ignore the cap on how many train skills. I just like it makes sense why they would have that in the game, but if we're, you know, I don't want you know, a simulation of realistic limitations for your education to be a penalty. In game, you can raise your education and then use that to expand your skills, but like, I don't know, like, does that really seem like an awful lot of fun, or is it more fun to just, you know, take the fucking, you know, points? So that is a really good roll, though. Wowzers. Okay, so what you can tell is across the way, Dr. Ilias, there is, let me see if I've got the illustration. Where's that space fang dragon?
Abort.
Oh, I was reading for planning for this week, I was reading on 5e dragons, and I forgot about how much fun those legendary actions can be. Whew. Let's see. You know what I might need to do? I'm looking back over all the trying to find where I originally loaded a bunch of the images from this game, and I'm seeing all the charity games and all the other one-shots and shit we played over the last couple of months, and I think I am really overdue for a mid-session or mid-year summary for this, so maybe that might be in the cards tonight. There's a lot of cool stuff to talk about. Here we go. Here's you guys. I see Captain Ganny. Judico! You can always find us for a search. Gosh, which means I've overlooked him. Shoot. So I thought I had loaded his image as a handout already, and it seems I did not. So Kev from a couple months ago, asleep at the wheel, buddy. There's a lot of Star Wars stuff in here. Oh, we're on to Joaquin Strusen. How much XP are we granting per session?
1.
1, okay. Jeff, there's your gliding monkey demons as well.
Yes.
And
there's the things flying in the thermals outside. Like next time Alonso looks outside, he just sees.
Yeah.
Turns out the birds are flying monkey demons.
Yeah, exactly. Crossover. Oh man. We were talking on Friday about the tanking campaigns, and the first time I ran 5th edition was a... There he is. Was a... the... Whatever the Dragon Queen part was, and I was so bored with the campaign by the time the guys got to Baldur's Gate that I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna bring Miracle back and we're gonna turn this into a zombie apocalypse game. So I'm so bored of this fucking adventure. Okay, and I did have, so here, sorry, you know, and I already had it as a handout, but of course I wisely labeled it the instead of just Aslan. This is who is looking in the corner. And I think for my headcanon, if this guy had the kind of long ears, those long tapered ears that they have in some of the other illustrations, that's the perfect Aslan in my mind. And Dr. Ilias, you actually rolled quite well enough. Do you remember the photograph or the holo or whatever that the Rent Investigator transferred to your comm unit? along with
Yes.
malicious code, of course. It was very, very fuzzy, but with a roll of 12 on your recon, you're pretty sure this is the guy from the photo. You apparently have a much better eye for distinguishing one Aslan from another than what the average human does.
Mm-hmm. Even without that he's not standing on the tank here.
Yeah, and surrounded by soldiers and such. So he seems to be, well, looking, and he's doing a very good job of keeping himself concealed. It's just that you clearly have picked up some tips from maybe Dane or from Alonso and his, investigative reporting quality. There is someone who is watching what's going on the other side of the concourse and in the shop. So, as Captain Ganny and Alonso walk into the shop, there's a little, tone that goes off, and then you see someone walks out and sees you, and that is the eavesdropper. This girl comes out and sees, and she turns back and she says something in the Aslan language. And then you can hear someone moving around out there. She goes and sits near kind of where the register or the checkout, spot would be. The shop itself it's pretty well maintained as far as like junk shops are concerned. Like this is the kind of place where like a real gearhead or someone who's really into robots might really enjoy, only because everything is set out to, there's certain pieces and whatnot. There's, motivators that are on there, on the shelves. There are like different drives from recovered from mostly like labor or construction related, or mining, I should say, construction or mining related droids or robots. And another Aslan walks out from behind, and I actually don't have a third image for Aslans yet. So he walks out and sees the three of you and says, "Hello. Anything I can help you with?"
Yes, of course. Was there a name that we weren't given a name, just a time and a place, right? We've been told to meet here at noon today. Are we on time? He checks his watch piece.
He looks at you, looks at Captain Ganny.
We're looking for. Yes, I received a message to arrive here at noon, in connection with some passengers and cargo.
We don't book cargo here. I'm sorry. Were you? Are you certain that you had the right location?
I guess I could show whatever hand message I've got. Whatever my hand.
Sure, you go over and you can see he. Why don't you each give us a recon roll, please?
Recon.
If we were to do a word cloud of the various skills that you guys use, I'm fairly certain that recon would just dominate the middle of the fucking screen the way perception does in so many D&D games.
Well, I got a 1.
Whoa. Okay.
Oh, maybe I don't have it.
You're not trained in recon? So it would be, what is your score in Jack of all trades?
Just like my total or my training?
The training,
just one.
Just one, okay. So why don't you give us a Jack of all trades roll with intelligence and -2 as a modifier. Because your Jack of all trades offsets one of the untrained penalties right now. So, all right, would anyone like to spend luck to try and get a success here?
I mean, I could, I guess.
Take 4 to get there.
Well,
Yeah.
depending on what I roll, this is a contested one.
Yep. Well, I don't know. What do you guys think? We could.
Yeah.
Would
go
we
for
have
it.
10 luck left?
Okay.
11.
Yeah.
So you're going to need, actually, you're going to need 3 to get a success, Alonso.
Perfect.
I didn't roll
Let's
terribly
do it.
well. This guy's not exactly a mastermind. So what, Alonso, what you can see is as this, as Captain Gani is talking to him, this guy can see as Captain Gani brings his comm unit over to show the message he had received. Both the young girl and the proprietor are clearly fixated on his the tracker on his wrist, and they they don't exchange a look between each other, but it's clear that he seems it's certainly of interest to him, and there's no reason to do that. Like, this isn't like it's indicative of him being a criminal. It's just something that it's a safety precaution you would have on certain stations. What you also can tell, Alonso, is that this guy is certainly lying.
Right.
He may be a good droid repairman, but he is certainly not a very good liar.
I think I would point I would, indicate the tracker and just say something along the lines of, yes, our captain has lost his passport and required that to come on planet. Is it trouble?
Oh no, certainly not. Not often we get off-worlders here at our shop, so I'm certainly happy to provide any services that you require. That's very strange. I see that it refers to our to our shop, but I don't. I'm afraid I don't know. Although that is it a Vargar that you're intending to meet with? I think
No, Aslan actually.
an Aslan. I'm sorry. I don't know anyone here. Were you in? Is there anything in relation to robots that I could show you? Do you make use of them on your ship, or would you like to learn what we could offer? What was your business? What type of business are you in? And
Now we're on freight. Typically freight and some passengers.
Have you any?
The usual free trader sort of business.
Okay. Tell me about what kind of loader you make use of.
Oh, we tend to use dock facilities.
Oh. Well, what model of ship do you?
Free trader A2 or far trader A2.
A dependable design. Well, if I might, I can show you some cargo loaders that, while you're certainly free to make use of whatever facilities are at a station, having your own resources on board in the event of any kind of mishap, or to ensure that you know what's handling your cargo, there can be a great advantage in having your own robots on board. It won't take long. Let me show you.
Yes, this seems a good plan. It's
Okay.
in the back here.
Yeah. So as Alonso kind of steps over, he brings you into sort of his. There's a bit of a on one part of the shop. There's a bit of not a showroom, but like enough space for him to demonstrate one of these cargo kind of things. That probably gives us an opportunity for Dr. Ilias, who maybe has been messaging you guys to let you know. I don't want to leave you in the dark for too long, Doctor.
Yeah. Once he's fairly certain that it is the same Aslan, he won't call, but he'll send like a text message to Alonso and Gani's devices saying, "I think our passenger is waiting outside."
Okay. So, Captain Gani, you receive a message from, This Aslan proprietor has taken Alonzo over to the side to show him the thing. The girl is still studying you guys from behind the scene, but you do see that you get a message from Dr. Ilias. And what does the message read?
Yeah, it won't have any details. It'll just say, I think I've spotted our passenger outside. Will approach.
Okay. So anything you do, Captain Ganning, with that, or?
No, I said then let's act on it and go for it. If we can see him, let's not beat around the bush anymore.
Okay.
Let's move.
All right. So, Dr. Ilias, what do you do?
Dr. Ilias will walk over towards the Aslan, but try not to, given his military background, as in the Aslans and photo he's seen, I don't want to spook him because that might end very badly for me. So he'll sort of walk over in a direction, but without sort of like a clear beeline to him.
Okay.
And then if I manage to get close enough to, just two people perusing the same window shop, he'll say something like, I'm looking for Varga called Ernulian. Would you be able to help me?
Okay. So we're not making you break another stealth roll. You did quite well on that one. So he seems to be more focused on what is going on in the shop, and you can see in the fur around his ears there is a comm unit or a bud that's placed in there. Something that's designed for the Aslan physiology. And let's see here. Just going to put a thing of him down on the screen here. There we go. There's a slight, Aslan, I don't picture roar quite as loud as what lions do, because, lions are, 400 pounds or something like that. Like, they're massive animals. But there is that kind of that rumbling kind of, to call it a purr is to rob it of the malice that probably it communicates. But there is a kind of deep in his chest that humans couldn't do when you surprise him. And he looks over and studying you, he looks you up and down. And he looks over at the shop. And he says, I see. A distraction. His eyes go to the shop.
Precautions.
Good.
We have had trouble finding passengers before. Wrong place. Other people looking. So hopefully none of that will happen here, but we have a ship and we have.
I hear you are looking for an Aslan passenger.
There's probably a moment where Dr. Ilias goes, maybe we shouldn't have publicized that. Well, any passenger, Vargar, Aslan, humans, all are welcome aboard the Rift Wanderer, but if a specific Aslan needed passage now, I'm sure that could be facilitated.
How did you learn? Well, you wouldn't say that. If you're looking for an Aslan, why use a Vargar name?
It's the name we've been given. I assume it is part of safety precautions.
His eyes narrow, and he stands, I can't remember, how tall is Dr. Ilias?
I'm actually not that tall, 5'7", 5'8".
Okay, yeah. So
he'll definitely be towered over.
It's
by
close
Aslan.
to a foot over you. Yeah, he's not huge as far as Aslan go, but he is definitely a healthy and fit and tall. So probably 5'1" or 6'1", 6'2" ish height. There's a low rumble in again, and he says, You were looking for them. Who gave you the name?
We were asked to provide passage by what's the name? Amaldea of. David has forgotten the name of the.
Oh no, it was the name itself. I think it's like the initials, because it was a Vargar word for their company. ERB.
Oh yeah, ERB. Yeah, Amaldea of ERB asked us to provide this service.
You've been sent for him.
Yes, with the best of intentions, I assume. We are meant to provide safe passage.
Passage to where?
Home?
And where is home?
Is it Tyok?
Tyok, yeah.
Yeah. I think Dr. Elias will sort of look around, make sure no one is paying too much attention.
Yeah.
And I'd say Tyok, I believe. In the high road.
So because you roll so well in your recon, you can actually notice his shoulders seem to slump a bit. And he says, home. I am who you search for. I am your passage. But you are wise to take care. My enemies hunt me. And they would see me not return home. Your crew. They are honorable.
Yes, they can be relied upon.
Then speak to Ktiheyao. Make arrangements for his dwelling. I will meet you in his home. And we will discuss my passage home. What is your name, human?
Dr. Elias Abdel.
I am Tile Toril. Tell you. He turns and makes his way back into the back. There's got to be some kind of service corridors or whatnot near the back of the concourse. He seems to be taking an indirect route out of here and leaves you behind. Alonzo, you're given a pretty good demonstration of what the cargo loader can do, but why don't we do this? We're actually just past our mid-session point. Why don't we take our mid-session break right now? Then we'll come back and we will... If we're going to talk to a Vargar, I should get something for my throat. So, yeah, or not a Vargar, an Aslan. Yeah, we'll be back in about 5 minutes then.
Good.
So I wonder who his enemies are.
Yeah, I'm sure we're gonna find out as they're gonna become our enemies now.
I assume there'll be various groups that have their own reasons for not letting him return. Did we, I might be misremembering this, did we figure out in the past that it's his clan that has hired us via 15 different
Yeah, we thought it was.
ways, yeah.
And they're quite influential. Yeah, Clan UY is paying for it.
Mm.
– Okay, sorry about that. Some goober needed to get her treats and pills for the break, and I took a little longer than I thought. Okay, so then, Alonzo, you have learned the many wondrous options. Am I correct in thinking that when you heard about the Stewade shipboard robot, that may have been more what you were directing the pitch towards?
Yeah, probably. It would definitely be something he would be curious about.
So yeah,
I don't know.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I don't know that he would be, looking to buy something today. It would be more like, he'd probably leave it with like, I'll have to speak with the ship's accountant.
Yeah. So what you learn is that the Stewade, the torso segment has a flat top protected by a retractable clamshell cover, creating a serving platform on which it can deliver a range of hot and cold drinks and basic dishes. An internal hot plate allows cooking of pre-prepared meals. And the lower half of the ovoid contains a tank of cleaning fluids and directable pressure hose. A pair of segmented arms allows manipulation of light tools. Manufacturers recommend that the Stewades be supervised by competent persons, and not switched from cleaning and general maintenance to cooking without a thorough clean. However, it's not uncommon to see a Stewade vacuuming floors on the way to taking the ship's engineer breakfast in the drive rooms.
Sounds really useful, actually.
So he gives it that pitch. Captain Ganny, what have you been doing while this pitch has been going on? You had sent the message to Dr. Ilias to go and try and engage with Ergonoil.
Yeah, I guess I'd just be making sure that the last of the cargo is stowed and that we're ready to move as soon as possible.
Well, I mean, you guys are still in the shop, right?
Yeah, well, I think that's probably where I want to head back to, right? Because we don't really need the... don't really need a robot.
Not really, no.
Okay.
So,
we have a greater need for a laser turret, I think, on our ship, given the luck that we have.
Okay, so Captain Ganny, it sounds like at best suffering through this this pitch. Dr. Ilias, it sounds like you were going to meet up with the crew now that you actually met with Tila Toro.
Yes, I think once he's disappeared off in the crowd, I'll make my way over. I'll send another message saying, have arranged meeting with passenger. Then I would head into the shop and just meet up with my new crewmates and go, oh, there you are. How's it going? But I would have sent a message saying, we don't need this. Yeah. The other name he gave me, was that an Aslan name or Varga?
Definitely
name?
An Aslan name, yeah.
An Aslan as well.
Yeah. I'll put that in chat for you as well. I mean, again, I'm sure you guys all went to high school with a TEAOA, but in the event that this one's spelled differently.
I do like how alien the names in this are for, and how unpronounceable we just look
They're
at it.
very challenging to. I may have been pronouncing or practicing Teletorial for about 6 months now, so. So then, yeah, that Katia Heyo, I think is probably as close as I'm gonna get. Katia Heyo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely an Aslan name as well.
Well, it's easy to remember because the abbreviation of it is Kitty.
Yeah.
Probably incredibly insensitive and
And biologically inaccurate, but still. So, you walk in. What do you do? You can see that Alonzo has been given the hard sell on this stew aid.
On the Hernan Robotics and Electronics website, is the name of the owner or the family listed?
If you check on your thing, it is.
Yeah. Would one of them happen to be Kitiaoe?
Kitiaoe is the owner, the man that Alonzo was speaking to.
Fantastic. In which case, I'll nod to Captain Ghani and then head over to Alonzo and say, Alonzo, you've met the person we're looking for. Excellent.
And the Aslan looks up and says, "I'm sorry, sir. Have we met?"
Apologies, Dr. Elias. I'm with the Rift Wanderer.
He sort of like nods his hand towards you. The Aslan have a Dewclaw that can come out. It only comes out in fights and stuff like that, but it means that shaking hand. I'm not sure that shaking hands is necessarily like a. This guy, the fact that he does actually maybe shake your hand probably suggests that he's been around a lot of humans and it knows your weird, kind of customs for it. But yeah, the Dewclaws are so a part of Aslan culture that they actually sell faux Dewclaws for ritualized combat for non-Aslans.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. So he says then, were you interested in a stew aid? A doctor of what? Medicine?
Yes.
We do have, it is partially disassembled, but we do have a medical aid robot as well.
I might wish to have a look at that.
Yeah, it's in a bit of disrepair, but I'm happy to bring you the specifications. Hold on. He looks over at his daughter. Wheeler, would you find the specifications for that medical robot? And she says, of course, Father. And she goes to work on her tab, and she brings up some specs and sends it on over to you. So I could grab my robots handbook, but I'm sure you're, it doesn't sound like you're actually in the market for one anyway.
No.
But we're humoring him a little bit.
It does quasi-justify another purchase, so I'll take it as that.
I think while looking at the specs, I'll bring up maybe Dr. Elias is getting too paranoid, but seeing as you just mentioned like enemies everywhere and the Aslan is very clandestine, I'll bring up the sort of just like a note-taking app.
Okay.
And as I sort of pretend to look at the robot specs, I just type out, I've met a mutual acquaintance seeking passage. They've suggested we have a meeting in your dwelling tonight to arrange specifics. And just sort of show it to him without saying it out loud.
Okay, so he looks at it and his eyes kind of get bigger and he looks up at you. And there's a bit of an agitated swish to his tail. And he says that, perhaps it sounds like you have a myriad amount of uses, potential uses for, or needs for robotics on your crew. Seeing that you are strangers to Hernan's claim, would you be interested in a home-cooked meal around which we could discuss this in greater detail, identify your needs, see what we have on stock that could meet that, and perhaps proposals for future purchases, if not from our stock, but from other vendors?
Oh, that would be delightful, wouldn't it be, Captain Alonzo? A home-cooked meal? How could we possibly say no?
Absolutely.
Good. Then this evening, I will, and he takes the pad from you, Dr. Ilias, and he deftly taps in. You must take care. Our Lord is hunted. And he sort of looks at you to make sure that you register this, Dr. Ilias. And then he taps back and erases what's on the screen. And he says, "Tonight, then.
We are honored.
Wheeler, tell your mother that we will be expecting guests this evening." And she kind of, her eyes are a little narrowed, her ears are flat against her head. She seems to still be a little suspicious of you. Definitely, fixing her eyes on Captain Ganny. But then it says, well, and with a couple of deft things, he makes the cargo robot, go back to its storage space, and the steward goes back into its storage space as well. It was a pleasure to meet you all. I look forward to seeing you this evening.
Likewise, and thank you so much.
Have you had traditional Aslan cuisine before?
I think if it is common, or
they're just carnivores.
I think Dr. Ilias probably has. He'd be up for trying new cuisines.
Yeah, more to the point, I think what you would know then, Dr. Ilias, because you'd be familiar with their specific biological needs. They're carnivores. They don't generally eat vegetables or things like that. So what they're sort of asking in a roundabout way is, if any of your characters are vegetarians or vegans, they will need to figure out something else to make, And if any of you have ever gotten, I'm sure this is more of a North American reference, but it's like the salad you get at the keg, which is just like the saddest fucking thing you'll ever see. Would you like steak? No, the fajitas. Oh boy, this is going to be a disappointing meal. I guess for those who are, the keg is a steak joint. It's a chain in North America. So if you're getting anything other than steak at the keg, it's going to be fucking awful. Wait, is it North America, Jeff, or is it only Canada?
It might only be Canada. I don't even know.
Well, that fits our Canadian content requirement for the week. So there we go.
I've never been to one in America.
Yeah, I don't think I don't know. I know there is across ever I've been in Canada. There's been a keg, but anyway, so that would be the only expectations for the meal. But otherwise, you guys leave, and once you step outside into the concourse, you guys are free to talk amongst yourselves. Although you can still feel Captain Ganny right in the middle of your back. It's the eyes of that young girl. What do you guys do?
Being on the walk back, making sure no one is eavesdropping. Dr. Ilias will fill Alonso and Gani in on his encounter with Teleteorl.
How do you describe it?
He was on guard, tense, pleased, but got the sense he's not necessarily looking forward to going home. I mean, it's hard to read. I mean, sometimes I have trouble reading people, let alone an alien species. But yeah, maybe. But he definitely warned us about enemies everywhere, and said that I had assumed he wanted to get on the ship and leave ASAP, but he said to set up a meeting with our gracious host tonight to discuss the details. I'm not quite sure what details or what to expect, but he maybe has demands for which route we take.
Be wanting to hightail it onto the ship and get out.
That was what I thought would happen, but no, he's more keen on. Maybe he's going to give us more information about what to expect or what enemies are after him. But
Maybe he just wanted a chance to get to know us better to be sure he could trust us.
He did ask if I thought our crew was honorable, which I of course said yes, and reliable. Maybe there's a case of he might refuse us as his carrier.
Maybe.
I don't know enough about Aslan cultures to see if there's anything playing into it other than his need to get home.
Maybe you said he wasn't excited about going home. Maybe it's to face up to something.
I might be misreading it, but yeah, I got the sense that he wasn't. There seemed to be like a sense of inevitability of resignation to the fact, but he didn't seem particularly, gung-ho or excited about it.
So maybe he's just delaying and wants one last meal with a friend.
Possible. Well, hopefully dinner will make things clearer. But both the friend and him made sure to mention that he's being hunted and has enemies everywhere.
Interesting.
Puzzling though. Well, as you say, we'll hopefully find more at dinner.
Okay. Anything you guys wish to do to kill the time? You have easily 5 hours, if not more, to kill. It only takes you 20 minutes to get to here. It's going to be about the same distance, same length of time to reach the what do you call it? To reach the community where Katiao and his family live. Katiao, I think. Katiao. Okay.
Hey, Captain, this tracking device of yours, it can't listen in or anything like that. It just monitors your location. Is that
so? Yep. It's just to make sure that I'm don't go anywhere untoward, I guess.
If you wanted to explore to, see if there is any modification, that's probably you would need tools and an electronics check, I think. Electronics computers probably, or electronic sensors.
Yeah, maybe we could scramble its location a little to...
But is that...
Well, I think
unless we think somebody's tracking us, so we're just going to pull that wrath on our heads by tinkering.
Yeah, I'm more concerned if it has if it can listen in or records video footage or things like that.
Yeah, that's what
we're just going for dinner with a friend, right? So that shouldn't be the issue. But if it has other functionalities that could be hacked or Delius might just be going a little bit paranoid here. But seeing as his tablet was compromised recently when he foolishly accepted a document from those rent investigators, he's a bit on edge
have a
about
look
these
at it
things.
to see if there is anything like that, but I'm not sure about tampering with it, as whether that just risk causing more.
Just check so it's safe. Leave it. I don't think it's they knowing that you're having dinner at an Aslan house is compromising in and of itself.
Why don't you give us an electronics computers check, Captain? Okay, so that'd probably require 1 luck to get that to a success.
Okay, let's do that.
But yeah, you give it a good look over. Nothing that you can tell. There's no modifications to this. It seems to be precisely what it appears to be, which is something that is going to track your location and provide a short-range, transponder to it. There's an explosive charge in it that'll blow off your hand if you try and tamper with it. But no, I'm kidding. It's not. It's really just that. It's just that's precisely what it is. It's just something to. It has the look of something that is slapped onto a bunch of wrists before. It's quite tight on you, only because they don't want it to be slipped off easily. And it is made of some pretty strong material, but as far as you can tell, even at the TL11, there's nothing that you can see in here that would have that would serve as a transmitter for it. Now, if you had access to a densitometer, that would be pretty awesome, because then you could tell whether there's anything inside it that is transmitting, but you guys do not have a densitometer yet. Jericho,
No.
supplier of fine densitometers everywhere. So, anything else you guys wish to do?
Maybe we should, just carry about some more normal activities to not look too suspicious.
As I say, maybe just make sure everything's ready to go on the ship for a start, from my point of view.
Okay.
Make everything
Sure.
stowed, paperwork done.
Okay. Yeah, and you guys have you filled up for jump fuel at Gibraltar Station, so you're good to go for that. You guys sorted out your cargo over the last day or so to dump everything that you had transported, and excuse me, pick up everything you need for the next leg.
Perfect.
And
Then maybe go get a nice outfit on.
okay, Alonso's going to go get his socializing outfit on. Dr. Elias?
And
I think he'll have spent some time going over the medical robot specs just out of curiosity, and then we'll get ready. Not quite the opera level of going out clothed, but something nice. We've been invited, and even everything else going on, it's still a nice thing to be invited for, home cooked meal and all of that. So it'll make an effort.
And Captain Gani.
Well, I mean, I was just doing the final stowing, and then otherwise I'll wait for the heading off for the dinner.
Okay.
Now that it's not bugging us.
do either of you know if Aslan smoke?
Aslans, I believe, do not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you see Alonso putting away the cigars that he was going to bring for them.
I'm double checking here. Let's see. Here we go. Yeah, so the Aslan, if you are curious, Dr. Elias, the Aslan are almost exclusively carnivorous. They consume a few nuts, fruits, and berries, but scorn root vegetables, grains, and other plant-based foods as being fit only for herd animals. The Aslan practice extensive agriculture to maintain their vast herds of livestock, and there is some archaeological evidence to suggest that early Aslan had a diet higher in vegetable matter, but cultural emphasis on predation and carnivorous behavior means no modern Aslan would willingly eat plants. The Aslan have the technology to produce synthesized meat, but it is consumed only by the poorest members of society or on worlds too scarcely populated or inhospitable to support agriculture. Even frozen meat is considered extremely poor fare. In any civilized Aslan house or restaurant, the meat is slaughtered right on the spot, and rich Aslan even hunt their own food on a regular basis, stalking prey across private estates. A single herd animal provides far more meat than even a teenage male could eat. Almost all Aslan dinners are communal affairs. A whole family plus guests will dine together. Aslan normally eat one large meal a day and sleep after eating. Small animals are eaten raw, while larger cuts of meat are lightly cooked and heavily spiced. The Aslan have an astonishing repertoire of spices and chemical preparations, both subtle and bold. Aslan try to maintain such culinary practices even on spacecraft, using mouse-sized robots covered in a meaty sheath to mimic live prey, and carrying herd animals in cryo-berths for later consumption. Aslans cannot naturally digest Terran-derived meats, but adding a few genetically engineered stomach bacteria corrects this. Some Aslan take pills when visiting human worlds to adjust their biochemistry, although many clans now include these bacteria in medical treatments given to all children soon after birth. So that's what to expect as far as the meal.
In which case, speaking of pills, I think Dr. Ilias will go through his medicine cabinet just to prepare for like indigestion and other, because if it's like spicy and lightly cooked.
Yeah.
it might be the reverse of our digestive systems not necessarily handling Aslan cuisine. So he'll make sure to have all of the right things in place for
we were
later.
talking about this yesterday. The one of the podcasts I listened to on the trip home was the Behind the Bastards did a 2-part series on Scott Adams, the guy who did Dilbert. And at some point in the 90s, he, I guess, tried to release a product called the Dill Burrito. It's a burrito that was a vegetarian fare that tried to have like all the... It's kind of like the microwave dinner kind of thing, but for vegans. And it had so many vegetables and minerals and whatever else in it that it was supposed to be like an all-in-one kind of meal. Only digestion doesn't work that way. So they said like... It would cause violent farting after eating a third of it, and eating the whole thing would cause diarrhea, described as like shitting your brains out or praying that you weren't shitting your capillaries out after
Oh my
eating
goodness.
them. So, the fucking Dill Burrito. Oh my god.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. It's really... Who'd have thought a cartoonist wouldn't be a good source of fucking vegetarian fast food? Oh my goodness. Anyway, so yes, that to avoid the Dill Burrito-esque result, that's probably a good plan. Anything else you guys wish to prepare for your meal?
No, I think that's it.
Can we find out anything, or do we know anything about, would it be traditional to take a gift or something to say thank you for being invited for, or is there sort of a traditional Aslan, thank you for inviting us to a meal, here's a something.
What you do read is that honor among Aslans is primarily a male concern. Females are expected to be honorable, but it is the males who are obsessed with honor. Or to quote the great poet Terrell Reeler, only males have the greatness of soul to be truly honorable. So, you know, entrenched misogyny. The Aslan concept of honor rests on 3 pillars. The simplest form of honor is respect, specifically respect for the territory of another. An honorable Aslan does not trespass on the territory of another without permission and without intent on conquering. Territory in this case covers all possessions of another person, money, wives, everything. An Aslan does not walk on the land owned by another unless the other Aslan allows him access and or unless he intends to take it openly from the other Aslan. Conquest is honorable, theft is not. Aslan do not work in secret. Even wars of assassins should be first openly declared. The second pillar is tradition. The ways of ancestors and heroes are the correct ways for an Aslan to behave. This does not mean Aslan are slaves to the old ways. New technologies make life easier and better, and Aslans must adapt to new worlds, but it does mean that any new developments must be viewed through the eyes of tradition. The teachings of the priests and poets must be obeyed, especially those relating to war and dueling. The third and final pillar is the harmony of action, or Koeafit. Koeaftir Liao. Koeaftir Liao. This is the hardest of the pillars to master and difficult to explain, to even explain to non-Aslans, let alone say. Of human beliefs, perhaps Zen comes closest. The Aslan believe the universe is a thought in motion, and that perfect actions can move in accordance with that thought. An Aslan who has attained harmony of action is expressing the will of the universe. Harmony of action can be reached in any context or deed, but is most commonly found in combat, poetry, or speech. So just give you an idea of what they value in dealing with it. And then as far as customs, I don't have anything. Aslan society generally categorizes abrasive, uncultured, or offensive behavior into 3 classes: familiarity, impoliteness, or discourtesy. Familiarity is the treatment of social superiors as equals. It involves social interaction, extreme friendliness, or condescending treatment by a lower class Aslan towards a higher class Aslan. Touching an Aslan without permission, for instance, is an instance of familiarity. Impoliteness stems from the lack of proper education or upbringing. It might include failure to address a social superior by the correct honorifics, failure to respond promptly when addressed, or losing one's temper in public. And then finally, discourtesy is a deliberate insult and springs from contempt, a lack of respect, or malice. Outward actions may often be perceived by Aslans as discourtesy, even when not meant to be so by someone alien to Aslan culture. Failing to immediately apologize for familiarity is impolite. Failing to apologize for impoliteness when corrected is discourteous. An Aslan may apologize verbally or making signs of submission, such as offering one's throat to the offended party. Without an apology, any of these three behaviors can give offense, and an offended Aslan becomes an enemy. Now, those are the broad strokes of stuff. The reality on the ground, especially for Aslan living in different cultures, is going to be very different. How Aslan who live their entire life around other species like Vargr and humans are probably going to not hold those species to the expectations of their culture, but that should give you some insight as to what to expect from the dinner and also from Teletoril in general. So, as far as gifts, do you think, Alonso, it sounds like you were wanting to bring something. Is there anything you think might be of interest there, given what what they've said? I can think of, I don't know if this was intended. There is someone I'm thinking of who values not poetry, but writing and hunting that Alonso has a great deal of favor for.
Mr. Hemingway.
That'd be correct.
Yeah. I guess yeah. I would have a book I could bring them, maybe.
All right, pretty. That would show a pretty. That'd be a pretty impressive gift, I imagine, if it's a physical book that you've got, even if it's a reprint of something like.
Well, I'm sure they're all reprints by this point, pretty much.
Yeah.
Are we going to have to be concerned for our pet to be consumed on this voyage?
I would hope not, but I mean, I'm sure we can set that. No, if it's our pet, then from my understanding, he wouldn't, unless we give permission, or he then plan on taking us all out, because it would be considered an act of aggression and theft. Which so no, I think the pet should be fine as long as we make it clear this is our pet. It's part of the ship. It's not just some random rodent.
Yes, of course, we'll have to indicate.
But we might need to restock the kitchen with different meal options.
Yes, maybe we should speak with them before we head off planet, if they have a shop or somewhere where we can secure some proper travel food for him.
Mm-hmm. Anything else you guys wish to discuss or prep before you head out?
No, I think Totilius is ready.
Okay. Then you guys leave once again the berth for the ship and head back through customs and then down to the tram system. You head your way down to the part of the station or the colony where Teo and his family are living. Do you find a house? I mean, it's not a house. It's it'll be a unit in a what do you call it? In a kind of a hab block portion of this. I think it's probably an outlying one too. It's probably separate from the main hub. You see, like in the illustration on the left there, how there's like different sort of stations. Let me grab my mouse here. There you go. I don't know if I've seen you since when. Oh, I have seen you since Wednesday, Joe. I was going to tell you that my fuck up with the mouse. I was complaining about my mouse not working on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because I moved where I've got the extended USB bar. It's on the other side of like a solid brick of books, so the signal wasn't going through.
Yeah.
An idiot. So you see the separate units here?
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking you guys are going to be transporting. So you'll be going through actual like rock on one of these trams to get to a separate unit where they are all living. And when you guys arrive, you see that there is a fair amount of this is a bit of an Aslan neighborhood, and there are more animals in here than than there are in other any of the other habitats. And what you find as you reach the address that you were given, you kind of buzz on the entry thing, and it's Wheeler who once again opens the door, and she sees you, and you're hit by a wave of spices and cooked meat. It really is. It's quite the. If you imagine, it's something akin to walking into a restaurant of any spice heavy, human culture. So a busy lunch rush at an Indian restaurant, say, or something like that, where it just it hits you and you can almost feel it, filling up the entire room. And do you guys think you are early, you are late, or you are precisely on time?
Or precisely on time, I suspect.
Well, be Dr. Elias's preference as well.
Okay. So the room, I think you can picture kind of a from what's outside is something that would be similar to any other kind of habitat that you would experience, or any other kind of colony. This kind of human slapped together, like we see on the right side of the illustration. But once you step inside, I think that there has been a great deal of effort to try and make it more natural curves and things like that. Think of the wood heavy designs of 70s interior stuff, that's or late 60s early 70s kind of design. That's kind of what I'm picturing. A lot of common spaces. There's a great big table around which everyone's going to be sitting on cushions in order to fill the meal. There's already some things that are out, and from the looks of things, Dr. Elias, you probably would have the best eye for recently butchered meat, although in your case you probably call that surgery. There's a lot of, it's going to be a heck of a meal, and there's a lot of different things that have been prepared. Because you've taken the effort to look as well, you can see that not only have they clearly gone to the expense and effort of fresh meat to be served here, which speaks either what it means I'll leave for you guys to determine, but that's certainly not something that would be cheap or easily accessible here. And you didn't see a lot of other customers in there, so these people are spending a lot of money to set out this spread perhaps for you, perhaps for their guest, or perhaps a combination of both. There is also, Dr. Elias, you can see that there are a few, because you looked into it, a few meals that are clearly not Aslan. They have tried to prepare something that is clearly fit really only for humans to be eating, unless they are very adventurous Aslan foodies. They likely have prepared something specifically for you guys.
Yeah.
But Wheeler encourages you to come in, and you can see sitting in there, Tilitoril and Katiel are both sitting in kind of a one part of the room away from the table. Both get up when you come in, and Wheeler turns around and says something in Aslan to Tilitoril, and he nods to you both. He seems a little, because you've seen him before, Dr. Elias, he seems a little ill at ease in here, and it definitely, the room has the vibe of everyone, that he's the focus of the room, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
The most important thing, and they all seem to be looking to him to make, to set the tone for how to react. And he says, he looks at you, the other two, and then fixes eyes on you once again, Dr. Elias, and he says, "Thank you for joining us. You honor my friends household. And Cteo kind of nods at Tilitorol and says, "Please come. We have beverages of suitable for, or perhaps more preferred by yours." And he says something again in Aslan. His wife comes out and brings drinks for you guys. And they have alcohol on offer. It looks like these bottles have not been opened. So if you do choose to partake, these will be fresh for you, clearly just purchased for you. And then he offers you to sit down, and there are some, they don't really do like appetizers in Aslan culture, so it's really, you will be eating promptly.
Oh, excellent. Thank you for your hospitality. I've brought you a gift here.
Are you speaking to Tilitorol or to Cteo?
Sorry, which one's the host?
Cteo.
Yeah. Him, the host, Cteo. For your family, for this meal and inviting us into your home. It's an Earth book by an author that I am quite fond of.
His eyes kind of get big, and he looks over at Tilitorol, and Tilitorol, very subtly kind of nods, and he says, "Tell me, thank you. This is very generous, most generous, and very unnecessary." And he kind of is holding it in an awkward kind of way.
Yeah.
"Tell me of this author?" I think that's Tilitorol actually is the one who probably says that. "Tell me of this author."
Well, yes, he was a great man on Earth back a long time ago. An adventurer, a soldier, a writer, a hero, a true hero. Someone I aspire to be like. I have other works of his that you are welcome to read on our journey.
Wheeler seems to be particularly interested as she comes up and looks at it, and she says, "Hemingway."
That's great. Have you heard the name before?
She says, "No." And then she looks up at her father, and he gestures as if like, "Carry on." And she says, "But he was a soldier and a writer."
Yes. A true rarity.
"Did he fight in wars?"
Yes, he did. Great wars.
Her eyes kind of get big, and she looks up at Tilitorol once again. And you're not necessarily familiar with Aslan, expressions or whatnot yet. I don't think any of you guys have spent an enormous amount of time around them, but I think it's easy to recognize a look of hero worship from any sentient. So she's kind of comes back from it, and her father then puts it down towards her, and she takes it, and Tilitorol or Cteo says, thank you for the very generous and considerate gift." And the wife comes out, and having sat the last bit of food down, and gestures and says, "Now, should we eat?" And
yes,
Dr. Ilias, if I think you see, because you've done reading on this subject matter, you got to read for like the person who sits at the head of the table is seen as the most important one. May not surprise you to learn that Tilitorol is the one who is offered that place, not the head of the household itself. He takes a spot next to them, and then each of you are given spots near Tilitorol, then the daughter and the wife. The wife has to remind in a kind of that chastising a teenager kind of way for the daughter to set aside the book, because she seems eager to dive into it immediately. But then she joins you all at the meal, and she says at first that she kind of looks over and she says, "You have not partaken in an Aslan feast?
Not one so perfectly home-cooked. I've sampled some of your cuisine before. I'm very much looking forward to this.
If you need anything explained, I will be happy to accommodate. Please, do not feel... I haven't. She gestures to sort of the small little part of the table that is the like human food. Clearly there's plants in there. She says, I tried to follow a recipe as best I could to... I read on your... And the husband finally kind of says, we have few human guests. We hope that this suffices to meet your dietary needs as well. You honor my table by joining us at it. And then you sit down. You guys can dig right in.
Yeah.
There is I think Tila Toro looks over at Wheeler at some point during everyone at first is filling their plates and stuff like that. You guys are carving stuff off of strange alien beasts and putting it down. You are I think what the wife says as well too. These are all the meats are suitable for human palates. Nothing should. And she kind of gestures to her stomach and makes a kind of like sound gesture.
Much appreciated.
Nice. All very nice, madam. Very nice.
The food itself, it's. I imagine it is there's one of two ways this goes. If your characters are not fans of that kind of exotic and spicy kind of stuff, you're going to hate this meal. If you are fans of it, it is probably. It's probably unlike anything else you've ever had. Your characters all come from a slightly different, I mean, we don't know what planets they're from anyway, but I imagine that the variety of diets that you guys have been exposed to over the different places you've been and whatnot, to try and describe it in current Terran terms would be a dramatic disservice to the variety of different spices and foods and whatnot and flavors that you would have experienced over the course of traveling thousands of, not millions of worlds. So what I think I'll just suffice it to say is that if you have not had, or your characters have not had that before and they are inclined to have a more adventurous palate, it's extraordinary. This, unlike anything else that you've experienced. You did not think that meat could be quite as... it could serve as such a variety of different dishes from simply one thing being, butchered. Are any of you brave enough to dive into the live prey that is on offer?
Probably.
I think Alonzo would try everything, at least some of it.
Okay.
As in life, we hunt it ourselves and then kill it, or it's eaten live?
It is eaten live.
No, I think that Elias would draw the line.
Too much like med school.
Yeah. It's one of the main things they teach you. If it wriggles, it's not meant to.
Yeah. If it wriggles, don't do a nibble.
That's not Navy regulation. We won't go there.
Captain Ganny, what you would just because of the you've experienced costs of transporting either livestock or the cost of transporting frozen or what do you call it, low birthed livestock. This is a very, very, very expensive meal for this household to put on. So through the meal, I think what Tila Toro says is it is customary among such feasts for conversation to flow. If this is the first Aslan table that you have supped at. Tell us of yourselves. And he gestures at Ktiel. Do him the honor of telling who he hosts. And with that, live thing goes down his gullet.
Start.
The table kind of all looks to you guys.
I think Dr. Elias will instinctively look towards Alonso as a sort of
Sure, Alonso
adventuring
is,
type and
yeah.
maybe lead us off.
I've lived a life as a writer myself. Obviously, not as great as someone like Hemingway, but
Wheeler kind of looks up and she says, "And a soldier?"
Not a soldier, unfortunately. I was not able to make it into the military on the world I come from. But I did write about it and been involved in some conflicts as far as exposing the unjust parts of societies.
See
myself as a bit of a
furrows.
fighter for the freedom of people.
And the I think it's Ktiel who says the dishonorable.
Yes. Exposing them.
She looks over at Wheeler and she's sort of like, okay, she seems to understand it now.
And then I wanted a more adventurous life, even than that, and I joined up with this crew here, hoping to find that. And now we find ourselves at your table, and I believe the adventure is about to begin.
You can see Wheeler's eyes go to Tilatoro, and while it's not as obvious as what you saw before, Dr. Ilias, I think if you are tracking sort of what's going on at the table, because you've seen him before too, you see there is like a hint of a twitch in his maw. Kind of his nose sort of twitches to the side, but he catches himself and carries on as if nothing is awry. They are still looking at you.
At me?
All three of you.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, I'll introduce myself. So I was 12 years in the Imperial Navy as an officer, mostly in Imperial space, of course. After that, I needed to I left the service when I was also working as a salvage expert in mining space. And then I returned to Imperial service and Scout service, where I was involved mostly around the Sword Worlds. And since then,
Wheeler
I've
sort
been
of
a
interrupts.
merchantman.
Wheeler interrupts and says, "Did you fight in wars?"
On border skirmishes around the Sword Worlds, yes.
Oh, she looks, and let me make a quick roll here. Tilatoro looks and says, "Sword Worlds. They are a warrior people."
They are. Although their technology is not to the Imperial standard, their fighting skills are high.
A warrior's soul is a more reliable weapon than guns or ships. And he sort of holds that out as a proposition to see if you agree.
The knack, as always, is to have both.
He kind of snorts and goes back to eating, and Wheeler goes back to listening to you.
So since then, I've been a merchant captain around the borderlands and through the border areas of Imperial space. This will be my first time heading towards Sindal and beyond. Adventure is always a learning experience, a chance to broaden my horizons even further after all these years.
Wheeler, I think, once again, have you been to the Hyrate?
Never. It'll be quite the experience, I suspect. I look forward to it.
Again, her eyes go to Tila Toro, but he's sort of focused on listening to you and doesn't, acknowledge her again. Her poker face is not great. Dr. Ilias. Unless Captain Gani, have anything further?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I think the case to say, unlike my companions, I'm less well traveled. I've only recently embarked on finding out more firsthand about the universe. I'm a healer. I'm a doctor. Spend most of my life in dealing with the aftermath of fighting and what soldiers get up to, and spend most of it in labs and research. But I've now decided that some hands-on experience is maybe just as valuable as the more theoretical aspects.
Tila Toro looks a little confused. He says, "We are guests at this table, and it would seem we'll be traveling companions. There is no need to conceal oneself, Doctor. You are an assassin, no? Or a spy?"
I am neither of those things. Some of my, I think Dr. Ellis will for a moment, not quite realizing what he's getting at from me. Some of my craft could no doubt be used and has been used for one of those two effects. As I said, my involvement has been more theoretical and in the lab than out in the field.
I think that if you consider for a moment what his introduction to you was, the rest of the crew went in to serve as a distraction so that you would sneak over incredibly well, find him where he thought he was being very cleverly, hidden. So he seems to assume that you're the one leading here and that you were the assassin and whatever, right?
Yeah.
So he is surprised, but it seems that it's a mystery. Yeah, it's just something to consider. And how did you come to be involved with my journey? He says to all of you. At that, you can see the tone of the Aslan at the table, at least, is a little more somber.
That was through a friend of the captain's, I believe.
Who is this friend?
I was approached by this friend who said that there was somebody who needed safe passage back to his own lands.
The Tayok.
Indeed. And going through an indirect route, so as I wanted to see the area, and we have the right ship, we've got a suitable course that hopefully should get you home safe and sound without too much attention.
Wheeler says, "Does your ship have guns? Missiles?"
It does not, but we.
She looks like she bit into something that doesn't agree with her.
To be, do not be too obvious when you're carrying a valuable cargo. Seeking to defend yourself, you'll draw more attention.
She looks thoroughly unconvinced, but Tila Toril, if you look over, nods and says, "There is wisdom in this. Appear as the prey."
Somewhere Dane is looking up from a drink, going like,
"Yeah,
yes, come from the ship."
You are right that there are those who would. There are those who seek to prevent my return home. And you are right to think an indirect route is wisest.
If I may ask, who is it that is wanting to oppose it? It might assist us in avoiding attention.
My enemies. You can see that Captain Gani, because she seems to have, fixated on you a little bit, it's almost like Wheeler is struggling to try and not say more. She clearly has a much better idea of what's going on, while Tila Toril is being more cryptic, or at least keeping his cards closer to the chest. She seems to have a much better idea of what is actually going on here, but this is the case where she is restraining herself.
Would these be Aslan enemies? Again, may help us.
And she says, I don't think she can hold herself in anymore, and just simply says, enemies of the Eowoi clan. And both her father and Tila Toril both kind of give a shut the fuck up growl kind of towards her, and she cowers back from this. That name should be familiar to you guys.
Yep, they're who's paying.
And he looks back. Enemies. They are. Oh, go ahead.
One group or multiple groups?
That remains to be seen. If you have not been to the Hyrate, Captain, I take it you do not know of the ways of our people.
I fear not. Can you enlighten me? I've known of them as great warriors in encounters with the Navy, but in terms of clan warfare, I am sadly ill-informed.
Your Imperium. You have your nobility, your houses, those beneath the Emperor.
The dukes and such like, indeed.
They are territorial.
Very.
Extremely.
Do your people view their struggles as war? on
They tend to keep
a different battlefield.
The dukes, in theory, work within the purview of the Empire. So they try not to make struggles too obvious between them.
And yet, they struggle.
They do. But,
so it is with our people. Wounding me wounds the clan. And you can see there is, his head goes down kind of for the first time, and he definitely seems, he's not like showing his throat or anything like that, but there's definitely a feeling of shame that he seems to be carrying with him in some way. By preventing me from returning home, they would weaken the clan Eowoi. That, and he kind of growls a little bit, I cannot abide.
And we need to get you home.
He kind of locks eyes with you for a bit. Then let us plan.
We will slide it back.
And I think what we'll do is we'll save, because we're at almost the end time, and Jeff, I see that you got to get going right away. Why don't we end our session there, and we'll come back next time and start planning for how to get him off of here and back to Tyok. So then, for those listening at home, thank you so much for joining us for session 10. This is part 10, guys, of our Borderland Run adventure. As is always the case, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns regarding the session, the campaign, or the game we're playing, please do not hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section down below, and I'll endeavor to reply in a timely fashion. There's also a link down below to our friends at Noble Knight Games. Noble Knight Games is the preeminent unionized retailer of hard-to-find and out-of-print RPGs in North America. Not only do they have a terrific selection of new role-playing games, board games, or card games, and card games, they also have an unmatched selection of hard-to-find and out-of-print RPGs. And if they do not have something in stock that you are looking for, you can often put it on a want list, and they'll send you an email when it comes in. If you make a purchase of $10 or more through their website, be sure to enter the code SUMMERMUSER, all one word, all caps, and you will save yourself 10% in your purchase. If you're listening to this at another time, come back to one of our more recent videos and you'll find the updated discount code. That one will be good till middle of September 2023. In addition, there's also a link down below to something called Heroes Save Villages. That is the charity fundraising campaign we run on the channel. It benefits the SOS Children's Villages International charity. All donations through that link go directly to SOS Children's Villages International. None of it comes to the channel or any other middleman. Just goes to help out the kids who benefit from their services. And as a small way of saying thank you, we have been running all throughout this year a year-long charity campaign. The campaign sessions, we've played 4 so far. The most recent was yesterday. And those who have donated $10 or more to that campaign have been the ones who've been voting on the components of that, of where it's set, what kind of characters we're playing, what era we're playing in, and what game we use. We have 2 more sessions, and if you donate $10 or more through that link, you will be able to vote on the makeup of the last 2 sessions of our year-long Year of Ill Omens charity campaign. We're racing towards a conclusion right now. We have been all over space and time for this one thus far. I look forward to seeing what our next session is going to be and what game we're going to play. We've been running different games with each session thus far. Again, all donations through that link go directly to SOS Children's Villages International. You can learn more about the campaign by heading to the Dungeon Musing Discord server's Charity Initiatives channel. You can find a link to the Dungeon Musing Discord server in the link or in a link in the description down below. There's channels there dedicated to, I don't know about Traveler, but there's most of the games we run on the channel, as well as a ton of other great ones. There's a great community that is built up over the years over there. You are more than welcome to join the other musers over there. The last thing I will say is an enormous thank you to our stalwart players. So James, David, and Jeffrey, thank you so much for joining us today. It was great getting back to this game, and you guys finally met the guy on the cover. What the hell? Oh, wait a minute. Is that him? I have a tough time telling Aslan apart. But yeah, this is great. I have had this adventure since it was published on my boy, I really want to run this thing. We're getting into the meat of that right now, so I am very, very excited. Thanks for the great session. Can't wait to be back on Herndon's Claim in 2 weeks' time. So for those listening at home, thank you so much for joining us. We hope that we gave you a couple of hours to take your mind off the troubles of our world and think about the troubles that our heroes are encountering as they're just trying to make a delivery in the Trojan Reach. And until we see you again, stay safe, stay healthy, and happy gaming.